about. And, I mentioned public funding, but at the end of the day, the bulk of our funding is philanthropic. And so I would encourage your listeners to look at an organization like Father Joe's Villages, who is effective in what it's doing, that helps those not only who are on the streets, but the community at large.
Cloudcast 180. Powerful people, powerful stories, 180 seconds.
San Diego Union Tribune and Retirement Strategies Group present the Union Tribune Community Spotlight Show with your host, Drew Schlossberg.
I'm Drew Schlossberg of the San Diego Union Tribune, and we are back with Emily Moberly. She's the CEO and founder of Traveling Stories, joined by this stellar student who's a volunteer for the organization, Mohammad Al Mahdawi. And, Mohammad, we were talking before about, what you have done. You're probably even less than a reluctant reader before. You were a non-reader, maybe. So, and now you are a passionate reader, and you made that jump in that aspect of it. What other advice would you give to kids that say, boy, I just don't like reading? What would you say to them? They got to give it a chance, do they not?
They have to give it a chance. I mean, unless you could get a garbage job in the future, or you could be overdrive, but you're gonna be tired a lot, and then you're gonna have little money, and then if you have kids, you won't be able to get to see them. So you have to be passionate. You have to, even though you study a lot, you also have to read books. You also learn a lot of things from books. You gain confidence, you gain spirit, you gain intelligence. You gain almost everything from books. No, I
think that's terrific. And it sounds like you're going to be a lifelong reader for many, 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 many years, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's terrific. Now, you mentioned you like, some of the books that deal with dragons and all that business. Do you read nonfiction at all?
Yes. I read nonfiction a lot, more than I read fiction.
Do you? What type of nonfiction do you read?
I read mostly about Iraq and the U.S., about the wars that had happened.
Right, exactly. And so learn about some of the history and all that business, right? Do you use the internet quite a bit to read?
I'm only using audiobooks because I'm having a hard time reading the small words.
Right.
But that's besides that, then no.
Right. There's some great things about social media. They can bring us together. There's also some things that are challenges about social media. They can also divide us apart in that aspect of it. If we use it the right way, I think it certainly brings back cultures that have no idea that this is what happens. I mean, we're all human beings. And I don't care if you're coming from Iraq, Iran, Israel, Timbuktu. I think we all want to be happy. We want to be healthy. We want to take care of our families. I think that comes down to it, and that's the way it should be. And that's what's great about programs like yours, Emily, is that you talk about and you teach passion, but you also talk about compassion as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. And I think that kind of stems from when you read a story and you put yourself in the character's shoes, it helps you empathize and helps you understand maybe where someone else is coming from. And so I think, there's studies too that show that readers are more compassionate and more empathetic. And I think that's what the world needs. But at Traveling Stories, we just recently wanted to take that to another step and another level. So Mohammed's one of our teen volunteers. About 50% of our 600 volunteers are youth. They're high school or college students. And it's kind of funny. There's actually a waiting list to volunteer as a group at our story tents. And
congratulations.
Yeah, right. We have an amazing team of recruiters. But these students were saying, hey, what else can you offer for us to get more experience and more leadership development? And so in response to that demand, we created a new compassionate leadership program for high school students. It's a 6-month program starting in March. And yes, there's going to be these hands-on projects where students will be mentored by community leaders and top leadership at Traveling Stories, and they'll participate in programs design and development and event planning and practical skills that will help with a career. But we're really proud to partner with a nonprofit that's local called Compassion It.
Interesting.
And so we wanted to build in.
Are they new?
No, they've been around for a while, and they focus on helping people learn compassion cultivation compassion for others, compassion for self. Right. And I just was reading on social media the other day, and this is a sad fact, but it was talking about how suicide among teens is going up.
Yes,
and
it is.
One of the things that we've heard from our teen volunteers is there's so much pressure. And so one of the things we wanted to build in with our leadership program was not just more ways for them to achieve and overachieve, but how can we help you build those skills that you need to manage stress, to prevent burnout, and to realize that you are enough exactly the way you are.
Right. It's interesting about that comment here, and we have it brought up in quite a bit of our shows that deal with youth and teens and schools and all that. And the schools are really doing a lot now to address the social and emotional value. Not that it wasn't important 5-10 years ago or whatever, but it's just that you're right. Epidemic numbers now of kids who are depressed, which is so sad, and what leads to some very tragic endings and all that business. So I think that's terrific. Matter of fact, I might have you back on if we put together a whole show on this as well. Talk a little bit about reluctant readers. We've been mentioning this with Mohammad, who's absolutely the opposite of a reluctant reader now. But what advice can you give to parents that might have some reluctant readers?
I don't know if parents will like this or not, but for me, what I've seen, I've been doing traveling stories for 10 years, and I was a teacher before that. What I've seen is it's so important to provide freedom to let kids discover books that they enjoy. So I've had some parents who are like, oh, what's the best book? What do you recommend? Like, what is a really good book for my kid? And I'm like, well, what does your kid like? Do they like comics? Do they like dragons? Get them all the books you can find about that and start there.
Yeah, and you're so spot on this, and we all know this. Again, we're chatting with Emily Moberly. She's the CEO and founder of Traveling Stories, joined by one of her star students and now volunteers, Mohammad Al Mahdawi. I think we all know this. When you're excited about something, okay, whatever it is, okay, you are going to thrive in that area. Now, we've known this since people were walking upright, okay, 4 billion years ago, and it amazes me how we continue to ignore that fact, is that's ridiculous. I'll go back I'll date myself a little bit, and you were a teacher. What district did you work in?
It was international.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah.
Many, many, many years ago, there was a component of the day that was titled USSR, and it stood for Uninterrupted Silent Sustained Reading. And it was like a block of 30 minutes each day. I'm talking about in the 80s, probably was in the 70s and 60s and all that, where the kids bring in whatever you want. We don't care what you read a milk carton, read comic books, read whatever you want. It's your half hour to read what you want. I don't think they do that anymore. As a matter of fact, with the way the schedule has been compacted with STEM or STEAM and everything else, maybe some schools do that aspect. I don't know. I haven't heard as much about that. Mohammad, at your school, do you guys have interrupted reading time?
No, we don't. I mean, our language arts teacher just gives us time to read on Wednesday, but besides that, we don't have any other time.
Right, exactly. And to me, it's like, get them passionate about what they need to read. I'm preaching to the congregation on that as well.
I think a resource too, just real fast, is a book called the Read Aloud Handbook.
Jim Turley's.
Yes, it's full of case studies. So if those parents are on the fence, about that.
Right.
Tons of case studies about how families just providing more reading aloud time for fun change the trajectory of their kids' life.
Well, it was funny about this, and this will really date me because I knew the Jim Turley's Read Aloud Handbook when it was only version 1. Okay, it's probably version 5 million right now in that aspect, and that's so true on this. So Mohammad, you're at Grossmont High now, right? Mm-hmm. Any plans to go to college?
Yes, sir. I plan to go to an Ivy League school.
Nice.
Yes.
Do you have which one would you like to go to?
In particular, Harvard.
Harvard, okay. And what would you like to major in?
Surgeon.
Really? Okay. So you want to be what type of surgeon?
I want to become a heart surgeon.
Okay. And any reason why? What?
If my parents need any help, because they're eventually going to get old and they're going to have more heart attacks than they ever will right now, I could help them out.
Right, exactly. Well, your mom's very youthful looking. I think that's going to be way down the road, and I'm sure your dad is as well. But that's good to do over there. Probably would be important for you to get that medical degree before you start operating on your mom. Do you think? Yeah, exactly. Well, good. What a great goal. So then you want to? Are you trying to read a lot about science and medical stuff now?
Right now, yes, sir. I am looking at a lot of schools or just websites, just surgeon, the heart, how it works, how it functions, things like that.
That's terrific. Emily, let me get back to your book. Why don't you shout that book out again?
Yeah. It's called Watch Out for Mr. B. It's my brand new bilingual picture book for kids anywhere from 5 to 10, and it's on Kickstarter. We just launched it on the 22nd, and it's already gotten a really great response. So thanks to everyone who's shared it or already pre-bought your copy. But really the whole point, it's a book for people who like cats, for people who like to read or don't like to read yet.
Right.
And it's all about the power of reading for enjoyment.
Yeah, they're very, very, very exciting on this. Who illustrated it for you?
It's an amazing artist in Argentina named Nathalie Beauvoir.
Interesting. Now, how did you find
I
this?
found her on Instagram, of all places. I really wanted to have a female illustrator. And I really wanted to find someone from either Central or South America, since the book takes place in Honduras.
Right. On that's terrific. Mohammad, we got about a minute to go. Any final comments?
Thank you for bringing us here. Thank you, Traveling Stories, for helping me love reading. And kids, if you don't like reading, I promise you, Traveling Stories will make you love reading. Go to there every on Saturday, Friday, or Sunday.
Well, you are a very impressive young man. Let me tell you this, and there's no question you're going to be a very successful and world-renowned cardiologist down the road over here. Don't forget me, because I might sit there and go, I remember him. And so if I need a new heart or something like that, then I'm going to be contacting you as well. Emily, any final comments?
No, just check out travelingstories.org. We're always looking to include more people in our story and our work, whether you want to come fall in love with reading, volunteer, donate, give us ideas on how to grow. There's so many kids who need our story tents. Help us reach all of them.
Well, it's great. Emily, always good to see you. Mohammad, you come back on again sometime?
Maybe.
Okay, good. Well, maybe it's better than no. I appreciate that. Well, thanks to both of you. Go to travelingstories.org, find out all you can do, and wishing both of you nothing but great success moving forward.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. I'm Drew Schlossberg. You've been listening to another edition of the Community Spotlight Show here on Cloudcast Media Radio. We're brought to you by Retirement Strategies Group, the Retirement Made Simple folks.
Thank you for listening to a podcast from Cloudcast Media, the digital media home for leading local brands. When it comes to amplifying your brand, a Cloudcast-sponsored show offers unbeatable value. Learn more at cloudcast.us.
Cloudcast 180. Powerful people, powerful stories, 180 seconds.
Welcome to Cloudcast 180, the 3-minute lightning round with changemakers here in San Diego. We're here with Ed Heiner, 20-year Navy SEAL, best-selling author, and education entrepreneur. Ed, welcome to the Cloudcast 180.
Thanks for having me.
Your book was called First Fast Fearless, so let's hit this fast and fearlessly. Real quick, you created a program to help change lives of high school students around the country. It's called SEALpreneurship. Tell our audience what it's all about.
Well, it's about leading yourself. Getting a PhD in me, I teach kids how to take care of themselves and lead themselves first, and how to be their own entrepreneur, intrapreneur, if you will.
Is it something you think public education is lacking, this concept of self-leadership?
Absolutely. It's a mindset that kids don't get. My son doesn't get it in his school. The kids don't get it. It's something that, we're educating them, but to be mentally tough and be able to take charge of themselves and accountable for themselves is very unique.
Okay. I've seen an overview of your curriculum, 23 evolutions, and you have a 23-minute podcast series. So what's up with 23?
Chromosomes, right? It's all in all of us. We're all the same. 99.9% of everybody in this world is the same. And we use those chromosomes, 23 pairs, which was one of the concepts we teach as swim buddies, never be alone. Mm-hmm. Always work with someone else, collaborate, and be out there.
Boy, that's a lesson for life for sure. Ed, you were in charge of basic and advanced training for the U.S. Navy SEALs, and I mentioned you're a 20-year SEAL. Tell our audience the greatest lesson from the SEALs that have changed you forever.
Probably in the back of a helicopter one night in Iraq before I was getting ready to fly into an Al-Qaeda target, it dawned on me that when a pilot said, you have this many souls on board, it dawned on me that the opposite of fear is love. It's not else. I don't fight for what I hate in front of me. I fight for what's beside me, behind me, that I love.
Wow, it's a powerful concept. Wow. You've talked a lot about the blue-collar scholar as a concept. Fascinating. Tell our audience, what is the blue-collar scholar as it relates to your SEALpreneurship program?
It's a mental concept where people take control. Don't outsource their life. Look, we're going to have people that are in white coats, suits and ties, doctors, PhDs. That's fine. Listen to that and learn your information from them. But eventually, you got to be that mechanic in your own life. You got to turn the wrench. This is happening. So basically, take control of your own life. Use what you can use from other people. Discard it, what you can't, and make that your own. Leadership is something that you do. It's you do with people, not to them. And one of the best forms of leadership I learned in the back of that helicopter is called MOM.
Ed,
Focus
thanks.
on mission, others, and me.
Mission, others, me. Ed, thank you for being here. This has been the Cloudcast 180. We hit it fast and fearlessly. We're out.
Cloudcast 180. Powerful people, powerful stories, 180 seconds.